All right, welcome back to Visual Novel Mondays, episode 11. And here we have the wheel of games for me to spin. And I don't know, I got nothing new to say today. Just this Friday released a new video for game called Escape the Backrooms. I worked really hard on that. Hopefully you can check it out if you can. And for those who are new to the series, Visual Novel Mondays is basically a series where I try and play a new visual novel every week. And I use this wheel that you see right now and spin it. Whichever one it lands on is the one I'll be playing. And I try to play through the entire game to get like all the achievements and stuff, or even just to complete different routes, just to show you guys everything. And usually, sometimes there are special conditions where I don't play the entire game. Like for episode 6, Dread Wait, I decided that I would play through one route and then come back to it when I eventually land on the game that came before it, Cooking Companions. And I'm still abiding by that rule. Depends on whatever game it lands on. But yeah, I got nothing else. Let's just see what we get today. The Seabed's Shining Star. Interesting. Alright. What is this game we got? Let's jump straight to it. Oh jeez, this is so loud. Alright, welcome to the Seabed's Shining Star. According to the store page and the reviews, this seems to be like a short game, around 2 hours of playtime, and a lot of people really liked it, so I have high hopes for this one. There's not much else for me to say. Let's just start. Once, there was a man who loved a woman deeply, deeper than the sea. The woman returned his feelings, but said her father would never allow it. The man went to plead with her father, a cruel and mischievous man. He said, "Scoop the moon from the seabed, and you can have her." To the father's surprise, the man accepted his challenge without hesitation. He rowed out to the sea, searching for where the moon reflected on the water. He took a bucket and tried to scoop the moon with it, but the only thing that filled the bucket was water. After trying 1, 10, 100 times, the man came to a realization. He was trying to scoop the moon from the surface of the sea, not the seabed. He would never be able to scoop the moon from the sea so half-heartedly. He removed his clothes and dove into the sea, bucket in hand. Within the water, he searched for the moon, but the moon was nowhere to be found. All that waited in the dark was death. Despite that, the man dove deeper. Eventually, he reached the seabed. The moon eluded him, even there. The breath in his body was running thin. He prayed desperately for a god, any god, to help. As he neared death, he heard a voice. It asked what he was willing to sacrifice for his wish. In his desperation, he said he'd sacrifice anything. The voice asked for his left hand, and he agreed. His prayers were answered, and a glimmer appeared. He scooped the glimmer and swam upward frantically. As he ascended, He felt pain shoot through his left arm. He ignored the pain and broke the surface, gasping for air. Fresh blood spilled from where his hand used to be. In the dark, it had been torn away by a creature. The man didn't have time to lament his loss. He stopped the bleeding, then looked into his bucket. What he scooped was an oyster, but it was far from normal. Inside the mouth was a brilliant golden pearl, about the size of an eye. Joyfully, he rushed to the house of the woman he loved to talk with her father. Upon seeing the man again, the father thought that the man must have failed. As the man told his story, the father was amazed. He agreed that the god helped the man, and the golden pearl was the moon. Cruel and mischievous as he was a man of his word. And so, the father allowed the man to marry his daughter. The man and woman were married, and lived a happy life together. But the man never forgot about the god who helped him that night. It would be unforgivable if he didn't properly show his gratitude. Soon after, he built a shrine and enshrined the golden pearl in it. The man named it Seabed Shrine. The god, pleased, chose to reside there. It stands to this day, inhabited by the god, waiting for those who wish to scoop the moon. Interesting. In the city of Hiroshima, there was a place called Seabed Shrine. It was difficult to find unless you already knew where it was. And among the locals, it had an interesting reputation. There were a few reasons for that. The first reason, it was inhabited by a god of desperation. They would only help if you were at the end of your rope. This meant the sort who visited were gamblers, debtors, gotcha addicts, so on. Their prayers were rarely answered, and they almost never returned a second time. The second reason was obvious if you looked. The shrine was being used as a parking lot. Except the middle path, there were cars parked everywhere. It was a shrine without a trace of divinity. There was a third reason as well. The shrine maiden was a woman named Mizuki. Her family name wasn't important. She wouldn't tell if she was asked. She had been caring for the shrine since she was a child. But it was done without any tenderness or care, the bare minimum. She focused more on people who parked than people who prayed. They were paying customers. They deserved customer service. Mizuki was praying in front of the shrine 10 a day. She had worked from 10 in the morning to 10 in the evening. The shrine wasn't popular as a place to pray, but it was as a parking lot. She didn't care, either way. As long as she could feed herself, it was fine. Despite that, she didn't ignore her duty as a shrine maiden. She kept the shrine clean, prayed several times a day, collected offerings. It was work to her as well, if not as profitable as being a parking attendant. As she finished praying, she saw a glimmer in the night sky. It was a shooting star. Whether a passing whim or because she believed, Mizuki decided to make a wish. I wish... Before she could make her wish, she was interrupted by a crash. As Mizuki opened her eyes, she found the source of the crash. It was caused by a woman in white, who was now sitting on a car. The roof of the car had been completely and utterly caved in. It was her car, one of the few things her father left her. Rather than dwell on it, Mizuki narrowed her eyes and scrutinized the woman. She was beautiful and shone with a faint, ethereal light. Mizuki knew from experience that the woman in front of her wasn't human. As she gathered her thoughts, the woman spoke. Across the vastness of space, we have arrived. We understand that you may be surprised by our sudden arrival, but listen closely. We have come to grant your wish. We believe you were about to say it earlier. Thus, state what you desire, and it shall be granted to you. Fix my car. But, are you certain? We are a star brimming with divine radiance. We could grant a wish much, much, much grander than merely repairing your cart. You could wish for fame, fortune, perhaps true love. All this and more is within our power, if only you wish it. You heard me. Perhaps you fail to understand. We came all this way to grant your wish, and can grant whatever wish you hold in your heart. Surely you have something else that you desire. Get off my car, then fix it. Very well. The woman pushed herself from the roof of the car and floated down to earth. Allow us to introduce ourselves. We have been granted many names across history. Oh boy. Nulong and Hikoboshi among them. However, we request you address us as Altair. Would you do us the honor of sharing your name? Mizuki. Mizuki, a fitting name for one such as you, a maiden with the beauty of the moon. Mizuki's patience was rapidly wearing thin, but she maintained her composure. Could you fix my car now? Ah, your wish, of course. We desire nothing more than to repair your cart. However, are you saying you can't? Nothing of the sort. We may not be able to repair your car personally. However, we believe an artisan could, if granted compensation, and we could bestow that upon you. I can accept that. How are you going to pay me? Being paid made more sense to Mizuki than her wish being granted. She didn't believe this useless star would be able to grant it anyways. We are able to locate the corpses of fallen stars, what you would know as a meteorite. We believe they are valued by your people, and thus you should be able to have your cart repaired by an artisan in exchange for it. Alright, where? Altair pointed beyond the bounds of the city, to the mountain range in the distance. You will be able to find a corpse of the star in those jagged peaks. If you can transport us there, perhaps with your car, we'll be able to lead you to where the corpse lies. Mizuki let out a loud, unrestrained sigh. She didn't doubt that Altair was telling the truth, but it was dangerous to drive in the mountains at night. She didn't have a choice if she wanted her car fixed, though. I can't take you there tonight. How about tomorrow morning? That would not be possible. We cannot show ourselves while your sun is in the sky. The light from it conceals our own. Tomorrow night, then. Very well. Tomorrow night, we'll set out on a journey together. We can meet her tomorrow, once the sun has set. Ah. It seemed there was a problem with everything involving Altair. What now? If it would be permissible, in exchange for granting your wish, we have a request. This isn't a trade. You owe me for crashing into my car. We are aware of that, yet we request you listen regardless. We are visiting this land for 3 nights, no more, no less. We request lodging for the visit, if you would show such grace. Mizuki considered it. Altair said she was a star, but from Mizuki's point of view, she was a godlike existence. Though she didn't want Altair to stay with her, a shrine maiden couldn't refuse a god. That wasn't to mention that Altair promised to give her a meteorite. A meteorite could be worth millions of yen. That would be more than enough to fix her car, or even buy a new car outright. Alright. Truly, what a wonderful woman you are, Mizuki. You have our everlasting gratitude. We shall consider you a dear friend henceforth. Mizuki led Altair to where she lived, a small space located behind a shrine. Through a sliding door, the two of them reached Mizuki's living room. The room had a tatami floor and was entirely dominated by a kotatsu. She had brought it out at the start of autumn and hadn't put it away since. Welcome to my home. Altair examined the room, glancing at various objects she hadn't seen before. We were not aware a person could live in such a restricted place. You must be a woman of unparalleled resourcefulness, Mizuki. You could say that. Mizuki settled into the kotatsu and turned it on. Warmth immediately spread beneath the table. She felt as if she were alive again. That's good. Altair, on the other hand, was beyond impressed. Is this what man has become capable of since I last visited? What comfort! What bliss! To create warmth on par with a star on demand? What is this device known as, Mizuki? It's a kotatsu. They've been around for hundreds of years. A kotatsu! We will remember that. The inventions of man continue to astound us. After basking in the warmth of the kotatsu for a moment, Mizuki asked a question. Do you eat? It was about time for dinner, and she wanted something warm after being outside. Though we do not require sustenance, we would certainly be grateful for it. Without standing, Mizuki opened a cabinet and withdrew a few items. A water boiler, a large bottle of water, 2 glasses, 2 sets of chopsticks, and 2 cups of instant ramen. She plugged the boiler into the wall, poured water into it, and waited. We thought you were going to prepare a meal. That's what I'm doing. You can prepare a meal with these items alone? We can hardly believe that. You'll see. Once the water had boiled, Mizuki opened the cup ramen and poured water into it. Altair examined both the water boiler and the cup ramen with an intense fascination. We can perceive that the water had been heated, and the cup appears to contain food. The heated water is cooking whatever's in the cup. Would this be a soup, perhaps? It's seafood ramen. It'll be ready in 3 minutes. 3 minutes? That must be a jest. A meal as luxurious as seafood soup could not possibly be prepared that swiftly. That dish that requires an hour or more, does it not? You don't have to take my word for it. After a 3-minute wait, the cup ramen was ready. Mizuki pushed Altair's ramen towards her, along with a pair of chopsticks. Do you know how to use chopsticks? Would you expect any less from us? We learned to use chopsticks during our last visit. Then eat. Mizuki put her hands together in gratitude for the food. Altair, who was watching carefully, imitated the gesture. Mizuki poured water for both of them, and the pair started eating. This is seafood noodle soup. This is not as luxurious as the seafood soup we had during our last visit. However, the springiness of the noodles, the flavor of the sea. How was this prepared in a mere 3 minutes? There must be an answer to this. Mizuki was about to answer, but before she could, Altair interrupted her. Wait, Mizuki, we wish to come to the answer ourselves. We were not able to see the inside of the cup, or the water was poured, however. We are able to make an educated guess. These noodles are too firm to have been soft beforehand, so they must have been hard inside the cup. It is impossible for the flavor of the sea to be absorbed by the water in a mere 3 minutes as well. This must mean... Altair fell deep into thought. This allowed Mizuki to quietly enjoy her cup ramen and take a close look at her. It was her first thought earlier, but Altair was a beauty. Especially when she wasn't speaking. Soon enough, Altair arrived at her answer. This must mean the ingredients were cooked beforehand, placed in the cup, and all the boiled water did was soften them. We believe this is the correct answer, Mizuki. You're right. Of course we are. This is the intellect of a star. A mystery as trivial as a 3 minutes seafood soup is nothing to us. Now, we shall partake before the soup becomes cold. Altair slurped the cup ramen loudly, a visible joy on her face. Whether her joy was from the flavor of the ramen or solving the mystery didn't matter, as long as she was happy. As Altair ate her noodles, Mizuki laid down on the floor. She wanted to go to sleep, but she had to change and bring out the futon. That would be a hassle that she couldn't be bothered with at the moment. Before she fell asleep under the warmth of the kotatsu, Altair's voice woke her. We have finished our seafood soup, though that was delicious. Mizuki could easily guess what the star wanted. You want another cup? If you may, we would be grateful. Mizuki begrudgingly returned to sitting. At least she had the excuse to get up from the floor. She went to pour water into a second cup of ramen, but Altair interrupted her again. Once more, we ask you to wait. What now? We would like to pour the water into the cup ourselves. With a sigh, Mizuki pushed the water boiler and the ramen across the kotatsu to Altair. Open the lid and pour water until it reaches the line. Acknowledged. As she says that, Altair immediately dropped the water boiler. It spilled hot water over the cup ramen, the kotatsu, and herself. Are you alright? Mizuki immediately stood from the kotatsu and dashed to the bathroom. She fetched the towel in a hurry, but when she returned, she saw that Altair hadn't even moved. We are unharmed. Have no fear, Mizuki. The heat of this water cannot compare to the heat of a star. Not even the blood of the earth would be hot enough to cause us harm. Alright. We must ask, would the seafood soup still be consumable? Mizuki examined the situation of the ramen, and the kotatsu. There wasn't much water left in the boiler. What spilled could be easily wiped. The cup ramen would be completely flooded, but would probably be fine if watered down. It won't be as good, but you should still be able to eat it in 3 minutes. That is a pleasant surprise, considering our error. Could I ask you to wipe what spilled? Mizuki held out the towel to Altair, who shook her head. Wipe? Such paltry labor is beneath me. Behold! Altair glowed brightly, and the spilled water evaporated into his plume of steam. This is the warmth of a star. You must be impressed. Sort of. She was impressed. Now, 3 minutes. 3 minutes. Mizuki took another look at Altair, who was completely focused on her ramen. A human would have been scalded by the boiling water, but Altair was untouched. She was also easily able to evaporate the water in a flash. There was no denying she was a god. And if she was, then... Let's do this properly. Do what properly? My name is Mizuki. and I'm 24 years old. I'm the caretaker and shrine maiden of Seabed Shrine. My hobby is beetle fighting. My favorite food is uni. My blood type is A. My star sign is Aquarius. I like walking at night, and I dislike cats. Now that is an introduction. We did not think you could speak that much. You must have warmed up to us. Why did you decide to introduce yourself? Because that's everything I'll tell you about myself. If you ask anything else about me, I won't answer. Very well. We have already introduced ourselves. However, if there's anything you desire to know about us, state your curiosity. Why are you here? Ah, to grant your wish, of course. Don't mess with me. That is not our intent. There is simply a second reason. One that we are not prepared to share with you as of now. We apologize if you believe we deceived you, Mizuki. Alright, I'll accept that for now. I'm going to change, eat your ramen, and we'll get ready for bed. A star is always shining, so we have no need for sleep. However, we are willing to try. 2 minutes. 2 minutes. Mizuki took a quick shower, changed her clothes, and returned to the living room. She cleaned up the kotatsu, then put it to the side and rolled out a pair of futon. One of them belonged to her, and the other, it wasn't important. She flicked the lights off. Mizuki rolled into her futon, ready to fall asleep. She had a long day, and would have already been asleep, except Altair wasn't laying down yet, sitting on top of the futon instead. There seemed to be something on her mind. Mizuki? What? You said you wouldn't answer anything else about yourself, but we have a question. Go on. To fix your cart, is that truly your wish? We heard you speak as we fell. We believe you had a wish even before we crashed. It's my wish now. We are a generous star. If you desire, we could grant your wish and also fix your cart. Why have you been calling it a cart? It's a car. We were not aware there was a difference between a cart and a car. We assumed it was a change in dialect since our last visit. I'll tell you about it tomorrow. Could you not tell tonight? You will ponder this mystery the whole night if you do not. I'm tired. Go to bed. What a cruel woman you are, Mizuki. Mizuki closed her eyes and drifted off to sleep. When was the last time she slept in the same room as another person? It was a long, long time ago. She didn't dislike it. I don't remember much about my father. Mizuki, listen to me. There wasn't much to remember. I'm going away for a while. You're 6 now. I can count on you to take care of the shrine. When he wasn't at work, he was asleep. If he wasn't asleep, then I'll be leaving you with your grandmother. At the time, I didn't know I had a grandmother. When I think of my father, I think of him praying. He was always praying. Praying for what? I don't know. He prayed quietly. But once, only once, I heard my father pray out loud. I should be desperate enough now. 2 bows, 2 claps. Grandma, if you can hear me, I need you to take care of Mizuki. And 1 bow, as deeply as he could. I knew the woman who appeared wasn't a normal person. She was like the moon. It's not a good thing that you can pray to me, Hizuki. I know, grandmother, but you know my circumstances. There's no point in chasing that woman. You don't know that. Hazuki. Grandmother, please. I'm not asking you to help me. Just take care of Mizuki. I didn't know what was happening, but I knew who they were talking about. There wasn't anyone else it could be. Alright, what are you willing to sacrifice? Anything. I saw a sad expression on that woman's face before she pointed at me. I'll take Mizuki then. Thank you, grandmother. This isn't something you should thank me for. Please take care of her in my place. I don't remember much about my father. Mizuki, this is your grandmother. She took care of me when I was a child, and she'll be taking care of you while I'm gone. But I remember the look on his face. Stay safe, Mizuki. I'll see you soon. It was relief. I was left alone with the woman. What a useless man. Just like... She turned her focus towards me. Hopefully, you turn out better than him. You don't know me, but I've been watching over you since you were born. You deserve better than that hopeless pair of... Damn! You deserve better than that hopeless pair for parents. But people rarely get what they deserve. She was called many things by many different people. God of desperation, the moon's reflection, even grandmother. But I called her... Well, you have me now. And I have you. What do you want for dinner, Mizuki? Mom. When she woke up, Mizuki was able to delude herself. For a moment. That Altair wasn't real, and she didn't spend the night talking to a star. She then turned to see an empty futon beside her. Her delusion was immediately shattered. Mizuki recalled what Altair said to her last night. Altair couldn't show herself when the sun was up. That meant she should return once the sun had set. Mizuki had a whole day before that happened then. Mizuki's day was nothing out of the ordinary. It was her usual work as a shrine maiden, parking attendant. An unhealthy convenience store lunch of 2 rice balls and a popsicle. She scared cats away, prayed, idly swept the shrine, paced around, and waited for the star to return. Not that she would admit it. She didn't have to wait for long. The moment the sun set, Altair returned. She appeared on top of Mizuki's car, without crashing this time. We have returned. What a long and arduous wait it was. Now, we demand that you relieve us from the agony of our curiosity, Mizuki. What is the difference between a cart and a car? A car doesn't need a horse. How does it move? Do not tell us, Mizuki. We will come to our own conclusion as we ride the car. There must surely be a hint that will allow us to understand it. Get off the car and we'll get going. Very well. Altair floated down from the side of the car. Mizuki would never say it, but she was fascinated each time she saw it. It was something she was deeply envious of. If only she could float, herself. Hold on. They had forgotten something important. Mizuki quickly walked to the back of the shrine. She retrieved a shovel, opened a trunk, and threw it in. A clever thought. The corpse could be buried. Without a spade, it would be difficult to retrieve the corpse. We did not consider that. You don't think about a lot of things. That's false. We are always thinking. What she was thinking about was obvious. Mizuki opened the car door for Altair, and both of them got in. As Mizuki started the engine and it began to roar, Altair's eyes lit up. That could be nothing aside from combustion. Something is being burned as we speak. We did not sense any combustion with the water boiler last night. However, we are certain beyond a doubt that there is a fire contained somewhere within this car. You're right, but how does that move it? You will not lead us astray with a question, Mizuki. Start moving the car first. We will consider the answer as you do. I'm not trying to trick you. Mizuki, we are already aware of your cruelty. Before they left Seabed Shrine, Mizuki stopped at the front. She left the car for a moment and placed a sign on the wall. I'm not here. Leave your parking fee in the offering box. I'll know. That should do it. How does a combustion allow it to move? Stop thinking for a second and tell me where we're going. Ride towards the mountains. We will grant precise guidance once we are there. You're focused on the car, aren't you? We will not require significant time to find the answer. We request your patience. As Altair considered the car, Mizuki quietly drove toward the mountains. She paid attention to the road, but paid almost as much to Altair herself. Her expression, her muttering, her frustration, it made her want to laugh. Mizuki stopped herself. She thought that laughing would ruin the atmosphere. Though she didn't laugh, a mischievous thought snuck into Mizuki's mind. Would you like a hint? There is nothing we would desire less. That you would even ask demonstrates the extent of your cruelty and mischief. To be granted even an inkling of the answer would cause the effort we have expanded thus far to become worthless. A car moves Mizuki! This time, Mizuki couldn't help herself. She let out a short laugh, barely a second long. Altair's reactions were too funny for her to hold it in. It was surprising enough that Altair stopped thinking entirely. Mizuki, did you? I didn't. We believed you were a colder woman than that, Mizuki. We were mistaken. Your laughter must be as rare as a shooting star. Mizuki was quick to change the topic. We'll reach the mountains in about 3 hours. I'm going to pass by a convenience store for dinner. Do you want anything? For what you were saying, this convenience store must be a place to purchase food. What is convenient about this store? Do you remember the cup ramen last night? It sells food like that. A store that deals in the sale of instant food. We now understand the convenience. As for what we would want, we understand this may be an outrageous demand. If this store is truly convenient, would it have something sweet? We are aware of the value of sugar, yet we ask. Something sweet, alright. We knew it would be an unreasonable Truthfully, we did not think it would be within your ability to procure, Mizuki. What sort of sweets are there? Could there even be that delectable star-shaped treat? Konpeito? I don't know what this word is, bro. I'm sorry. Konpeito? The convenience store should have it, but we would be eternally in your debt if you could grant us even a single star of Konpeito. We remember it dearly from our last visit, and we deeply desire to taste it again. I don't know. It would be expensive. Might even have to sell the shrine to afford it. We cannot afford to take your home from you for a mere whim. We apologize for our lack of restraint, Mizuki. For the second time, Mizuki couldn't help herself. She laughed long enough that it couldn't be denied. Mizuki, why are you laughing? Are you laughing at an outrageous demand? I'm not mad, it's just... Then you must be laughing at our foolishness, to think we would dare to ask for something so valuable that you would lose everything. Konpeito is cheap enough that a child could buy it. Cheap enough that... Truthfully, that would not be a jest, would it? You would not be cruel enough to trick us twice in a row, would you? I can buy you as much as you want. Mizuki, your radiance is akin to a star. Would you be able to give us 5 pieces? We ask that you forgive our greed. How about 100? Now that is certainly a trick. Rather than be played with as string by a cat, we will simply allow you to decide. If you give us even 1 piece, we will be overjoyed. I'll see what I can do. We're near the convenience store, so stay in the car. As you wish. Mizuki parked the car and entered the convenience store. She bought herself 2 rice balls, a popsicle, and a large bottle of water. In the candy section, there was Compito, with various anime characters in the bag. She couldn't remember the last time that she watched anime, or even television. She bought 10 bags of Compito, put them in a separate bag, and left the store. Mizuki opened the car and got back in her seat. She casually threw the bag of Compito at Altair. Here you go. Did they not have it after all? We would not be surprised if so. Open the bag. Altair did as she was told, and stared into the bag for almost a minute. To her, the Compito in the bag was worth more than gold. This must be another trick, Mizuki. Think what you want. We will. We will open 1 container and demonstrate these are mere decoration. Altair opened one of the bags, and the distinct smell of sugar spread through the air. It certainly does appear and smell akin to a sugar star, the treat that we have been dreaming of for centuries. However, it may taste entirely different. We will have to try it to be certain. She carefully placed a single Compito on her tongue. This is, without a doubt, Compito. I really hope I'm saying this right. I don't know this word, so I apologize if I'm saying it wrong. A star that shines with sweetness instead of warmth, an unrivaled sweet. A jar would be enough to purchase a manor, and yet you have acquired enough that we can have as much as we desire. How could this be possible, Mizuki? I told you it was cheap. How could such a wondrous thing have become affordable? We recall being told to be careful, and not to waste it the last time we had the privilege to try it. The world spins. People have come a long way since then. It does seem so. Are we allowed to enjoy all this to ourselves? Knock yourself out. Mizuki started on the rice balls. She wanted to eat them before she kept driving. Knock ourselves out? Should we return to sleep? We have awoken just now. It's a saying. Eat as much as you want. Very well. Mizuki quickly ate her rice balls, had the popsicle for dessert, and got back on the road. With the candy to keep Altair quiet, the drive to the mountains passed uneventfully. Altair had not even eaten 3 bags by the time they were close. She was savoring them carefully, waiting for each star to melt. We're almost there. We are? We did hear you say 3 hours. This is truly an impressive car. To be able to make the trip with such swiftness. To walk this distance instead will require over a week. It's not that impressive, especially with the dent you made. Without our trickery, Mizuki, would the corpse of a star be enough to compensate an artisan for repairing your car? We believe that it would be sufficient. However, our sense of value has been distorted significantly by the Compito. It should be more than enough, but how did you learn the value of meteorites anyways? During our last visit, we also granted a wish with the corpse of a star, and were treated akin to royalty as a result. Our knowledge of seafood soup, Compito, and this land as a whole was learned during that time. Hope you've been having fun this visit. Though you could stand to be more reverent with us. We are enjoying our visit thus far. We have seen many an interesting sight already. As you have stated earlier, the world does spin. Reverent? If you want something, ask. I'll probably say no, but I'll hear you out. You're satisfied. However, you are offering. Could you tell us what you truly wish for, Mizuki? I wish you'd stop asking that. As you wish. We will wait patiently for your answer. We will not ask again. Alright. The pair soon arrived at the mountains. Mizuki followed the road until Altair told her they were close, then parked the car. Mizuki got her shovel and water, then the two of them climbed over the guardrail. Carefully, they headed toward where the meteorite supposedly was. We should be a few hundred steps away from the corpse, Mizuki. Follow us and we will arrive where it had fallen, however long ago that may have been. It might be slow. It's hard to find my footing. Your footing? Ah, you cannot float. An issue we had never had. If I could float, I would never bother walking. Having to tread the ground, you must be envious. I'm not. Then you should be. To float freely through the air is the privilege of a star. Makes you look like a cloud. A star is far above a mere cloud. Eventually, Altair stopped. What she stopped over looked like a normal piece of ground. If there was a meteorite there, it would have been impossible to detect. We have arrived. If you dig here, you should be able to acquire the corpse of a star. If you're wrong, I'm going to take your Compito. Then it is fortunate we are certainly not wrong. Mizuki started digging into the ground. Even though she was stronger than an average woman, it was hard work. It would be even harder to dig in the dark, but the warm glow of Altair helped. 1 foot, 2 feet, the hole got deeper, yet the meteorite was nowhere to be found. Are you sure that it's here? We are certain. There is no reason to doubt our sense for our kin. Would you mind helping? Mizuki held the shovel out to Altair, but the star shook her head. We do not possess the strength. Don't mess with me. Mizuki forced the shovel into Altair's hands. The shovel immediately clattered onto the ground. Altair looked into Mizuki's eyes, and down at the shovel. She picked it up and tried her hardest to hold it. It clattered to the ground again. We realized last night that our strength had left us. Mizuki thought for a moment, then realized what she meant. Was that why you dropped the boiler? A star is stronger than any human, and we possessed that strength last visit. However, we were not prepared to discuss it yet. Could you request that you wait until we have composed our thoughts? Alright. What a patient woman you are, Mizuki. We will reveal everything about ourselves with time. We are not the same as you. What do you mean by that? Altair deadened her expression and tried to impersonate Mizuki. If you ask anything else about me, I won't answer. Mizuki had to stifle another laugh. I won't. Mizuki picked up the shovel and started digging again. This time, she wouldn't stop until she reached something. After an entire hour of digging, she heard the sound as her shovel hit a hard patch. We got something. That should be the corpse. We'll see about that. Mizuki dug around the hard patch, slowly but surely, unearthing an enormous rock. It was roughly 20 kilograms, and took all of her strength to lift it from the hole. From the texture and color, it was, without a doubt, a meteorite. Mizuki stared for a long time, like Altair stared at the Compito. I'm rich. We ask again, Mizuki. Is this corpse sufficient to grant your wish? Huh? Oh, right. For a moment, she forgot the wish that she told Altair. Mizuki forced herself to look away from the meteorite. It's more than enough. I just have to figure out how to sell this. It wouldn't be particularly difficult to sell the meteorite. The country's law meant that whoever found it owned it. The problem for Mizuki was selling it without having her name be known. If she could have someone else take credit for finding it, she would prefer that. Shall we return home now, Mizuki? And consider the sale after we have left. That's a good point. Let's go home. Mizuki lifted the meteorite from the ground and braced it against her stomach. It was a long walk back to the car, but there was no other way to get back. It was hard enough for her to walk through the mountains to get there. It would be even harder to get out, uphill, and holding a giant rock. Aside from repairing your car, you're curious. What will you do with your newfound fortune? Mizuki didn't have an immediate answer, distracted by the weight she was carrying. She thought about the anime characters on the computer she bought earlier. Buy a television, maybe? We have not heard that word. What is a television? It's a box you can watch a play on whenever you want. It's a box you can watch a play on whenever you want. Another wondrous invention. We would like to see one for ourselves. And then, I'm not so sure. You're a woman without desire, Mizuki. What do you mean by that? We believe the last person we bestowed a corpse built a castle with it. I don't need a castle. Is there anything in the world that you do need? No. Then we should consider what you could spend your fortune on together. What do the people of this world desire? How about a feast? To waste on me, convenience store food is enough. Perhaps an animal to serve as a companion? I don't want the responsibility. You could purchase a telescope so that you can gaze upon us after we leave. I'm fine forgetting about you. You cannot forget us even if you desired it. Maybe. Gaze upon the night sky. We will show you where we are. Altair pointed upwards. Mizuki followed with her eyes. Mizuki did know roughly where the star Altair was. It was Hikoboshi. Everyone in the country knew it. She couldn't see the stars clearly from the city due to light pollution. But out here in the mountains, the sea of stars could be clearly seen. There you are. As she gazed at Altair in the night sky, Mizuki tripped and fell. She dropped a meteorite and rolled down the side of the mountain. Mizuki! I remember my mother well. Mizuki, I want you to listen. I'm afraid of forgetting her. I'll be leaving soon. You're 18 now. You can take care of yourself. She wasn't wrong. I'm sorry, but I know you'll be alright. She wasn't wrong, but when I think of my mother, I think of her next to me. She was always by my side. Even though she was a god, I could always hold her hand. She wasn't someone I needed to pray to. She was my mother. Do you know what a cat does when they're about to die, Mizuki? I did. They find somewhere where nobody can see them, then die alone. I hated that. You and your father, Hazuki, are the last two people to believe in me. When nobody believes in a god, they fade away. I would never stop. When Hazuki wished for me to take care of you, it let me stay around a while longer, long enough to watch you grow up. Then all I had to do was... I know what you're thinking, Mizuki. I just had to make a wish, and she could stay. Let me ask you a question. What? When Hazuki made that wish, I felt like I gained a daughter. I felt like I gained a mother. I couldn't have been happier. How about you? I couldn't either. I raised you with all my love, Mizuki. She did, but you're not desperate enough to pray to me. I understood now. It's a good thing that you can't pray to me. It wasn't a good thing at all. It proves that I answered Hazuki's prayer. That's not what I wanted. I know this is cruel, but you deserve to know the truth. I didn't care about the truth. I wish it didn't have to be this way. I just wanted her to stay. Mizuki, I'll always be watching over you. I remember my mother well. Even if you can't see me, I'll be there. But I've been starting to forget. It's time for me to go. Don't. You are, and will always be, my daughter. Don't go, Mom. Don't go, Mom. Mizuki's eyes shot open. She realized she was lying down on Altair's lap. She moved to sit down, but pain shot through her body. Do not move, Mizuki. You fell. You have been asleep for over an hour. That's not good. Mizuki resigned herself to staying still. She must have fallen far down the slope. She didn't know how she'd get out of this mess. She was hurt. She didn't own a phone, and nobody knew she was here. We should be able to help, Mizuki. How would you do that? We could float into the sky and glow. Would that be enough? It would. It would be difficult to explain, but it was impossible to ignore. Where's the meteorite? Even in this situation, Mizuki thought about money. You should worry about yourself. The meteorite is nearby. That's good. She thought the trip would have been a waste otherwise. Mizuki? What? We were thinking while you slept, and we have two matters we wish to discuss. Does it have to be now? We would appreciate if you listen now, or we call for help. Mizuki paused for a second, then nodded. It wasn't as if she could get up. The first is that we believe we understand how a car works. That's what you wanted to talk about? We've had time to think about it. Mizuki had to stifle a laugh. Alright, tell me your answer. We believe that fuel is being placed into a chamber, then combusted. The force of the combustion is used, through one mechanism or another, to spin the wheels and move the car forward without using a horse. It may seem strange, but we believe the car is propelled forward by a chain of explosions. We believe that this is the correct answer, Mizuki. You're right. Of course we are. This is the intellect of a star. What was the other thing you wanted to talk about? We have composed our thoughts and gathered our resolve. We can explain why we are here, and why we lost our strength, if you desire to hear it. Alright. Very well. If your son suddenly vanished, it would take 8 minutes for you to know. For 8 minutes, it would seem as if everything was right in the world. Once the last of the light reached you, the sky would become dark. What does that have to do with anything? We are dying, Mizuki. To be precise, we are already dead. Oh. Though we call ourselves Altair, that is a name I am borrowing from Lord Hikoboshi. I am a nameless star. My body died an eternity ago, and only the light I cast remains. Lord Hikoboshi took pity on me and allowed my light to be considered as my own. Because of him, I was able to roam the land. That he loved as his envoy. However, what remains of my light will soon fade. Once it does, then I will vanish entirely. Lord Hikoboshi allowed one last visit. I am glad that I could spend it with you. Mizuki didn't know how to respond. She had only known Altair for 2 nights. She didn't think it was her place to comfort her. Altair wasn't much more than a stranger to her. Mizuki didn't have any friends. She didn't have a good reference for what a friend was. She didn't think she considered Altair a friend. But the truth was simpler than that. She liked Altair. She liked talking with her. She would like to spend more time with her. There wasn't much time left. Alright. Thank you for listening to us, Mizuki. What else was I gonna do? Tell you no? We would not consider that beyond you. I'm not heartless, you know. If you have a heart, may we make a request? Taking advantage of an injured person? We believe a dying person is beyond even an injured one. Mizuki laughed, and pain shot through her body. You're right, I guess. What do you want? Tomorrow night, we would like to share dinner with you. We recall a dish from our last visit, a seafood soup with an animal known as an oyster. We understand that it is luxurious. However, the fortune you require from the corpse of a star should be more than enough. That's more a demand than a request, isn't it? It is. We would be overjoyed if you accepted it. I like that more than when you asked politely. That's how a god should be. We do not consider ourselves a god. We are a star. You're a god to me. Mizuki looked up at Altair, and the night sky above her. Among the stars she could see, Altair shone the brightest. But that was merely a matter of distance. Soon, she would fade away. Oyster soup. I can do that. Thank you, my dear friend. We aren't friends. We are not? We were under the impression that we were. I'd rather not put a name to it. You'll only be here one more night. Though that is true, we do consider you a friend, Mizuki. That's your problem. Speaking of your problem, our problem? Mizuki had been annoyed by something since she'd met Altair. Now that she knew the truth, she could speak her mind on it. Enough of that we nonsense. I liked it when you called yourself I. We represent Lord Hikoboshi and herself, hence we. Lord Hikoboshi isn't here. You're just you. Well, I see. You would prefer this then? That's better. That will take adjustment. I want to ask you something, Mizuki. What would that be? Do you want crab to go with your oyster soup? Crab? Though I have never eaten that before. That is not what I wanted to ask. You have not once called me Altair. Why is that? You don't have to call people by name to talk to them. I understand that. However, not once? Were you avoiding it? I thought something was wrong with your name, but I wasn't sure what. You're a person with a keen sense of intuition, Mizuki. You could say that. Shall I beckon for help now? Let me try to get up one more time. Once more, Mizuki tried to get up. Even with her grit, it wasn't happening. She didn't think she'd broken any bones, but she was beaten all over. She would probably be covered in bruises when she woke up tomorrow. Mizuki gave up and returned to lying down. Alright, I'll leave it up to you. I will see you tomorrow night, Mizuki. See you. Altair rose up into the sky and shone as brightly as she could. Mizuki closed her eyes, blinded by the light. When she opened them, Altair was gone. Within an hour, a policeman arrived to investigate the light. He found Mizuki in the forest and immediately called for help. When he asked about her circumstances, she gave a vague answer. She said that she was here to search for a meteorite, and found one. Mizuki was taken to a hospital, and was told she was lucky to be alive. She had rolled several dozen meters down the side of the mountain. If she collided with a tree or fell into a crevice, she would have died. As it was, she escaped with heavy bruising and a few broken ribs. They kept her in the hospital overnight. There was something she had to talk about. Bound in her hospital bed, she spoke with the policeman who rescued her. She lied that a story was passed down her family about the meteorite. According to the laws of the country, she was allowed to keep it. The policeman recommended that Mizuki sell the meteorite to the country. He would have it examined, and send the money once it was confirmed. Mizuki understood what he was saying, but had her own proposition. They would split it 80-20, and he would take credit for finding it. The policeman accepted. That suited Mizuki well. She didn't want her name to get out. Once the policeman left, there was nothing left but to rest. The hospital bed was more comfortable than her futon. That night, Mizuki didn't have any dreams. Mizuki was able to leave the hospital in the morning. It was painful to walk, but fortunately, the police had retrieved their car from the mountains. She had some work to do before she could return to the shrine. She had to figure out where she could buy a crab and oysters. The detour gave her time to think about last night. About the nature of the nameless god that had been keeping her company. Despite the fact that Altair was dying, Mizuki wasn't that bothered about it. Everyone died someday. That was what she told herself. Asking around, she was able to find a store that sold seafood at a decent price. She had received the money from the meteorite, so she could spend freely. She thought about the question she was asked last night. What would she even do with the money? There wasn't anything she wanted to spend it on. The life she was living right now was more than enough. Small room, convenience store food, spacing out, idling about. Was she satisfied with that? She thought she was. Ever since her mom had left, she wasn't sure about the direction of her life. Whenever she thought about it, she ended up thinking she didn't need one. Was that wrong? Couldn't she be allowed to drift aimlessly, like a cloud? She wished she could. Aside from the seafood, there were a few more things she had to buy. She had never cooked oyster soup before, but she had seen it done. It was one of her mom's favorite dishes, so she had eaten it enough. She thought it was a taste enjoyed by the gods. It was a simple enough dish that she could wait for Altair to arrive. She didn't have a refrigerator, so she bought a foam box and filled it with ice. It would be enough to keep the oysters and crab fresh until the sun set. She placed on the kotatsu and waited outside. When was the last time she had waited for someone? 6 years. Mizuki was able to convince herself that she was alright alone. Now that she had company again, she was finding it hard to believe. While she waited, she decided to pray. The god at the shrine hasn't answered in years. It didn't matter whether it did or not. She would pray until it happened. The moment the sun set, Altair returned. Scattered light gathered into her form. Wait, I have returned, Mizuki. Didn't feel like sitting on the car tonight? I believed it would be appropriate to arrive on the ground. If you know that, why did you crash into my car? I was traveling across space and landed there by chance. How about last night? An envoy of Lord Hikoboshi should be on higher ground. However, you don't have to say it. However, I am here as your friend. Thus, I arrived on the ground. Mizuki didn't know how to respond, so she gave up. Welcome back. Shall we have dinner? I've been excited for it. It's waiting inside. Did you know? When I told Lord Hikoboshi about it, he was green with envy. I don't think my oyster soup is anything to be jealous about. Every star in the night sky would love to have it if they could. I doubt that. If you find the chance, you should ask them yourself. Do you think that would happen? You're speaking with me, are you not? I'll be in trouble if other stars crash here. One could never be certain of what would happen. Mizuki had the image of several Altair crashing into the parking lot. Even with the money from the meteorite, that would cause her trouble. Let's get ready for dinner. I haven't eaten today. Neither have I. There isn't anything to eat in the sky, is there? There is not. However, allow me to ask a question. What do you want? This is an embarrassment to ask. Does the Compito we stored in the car remain there? I regret that I was not able to enjoy the remainder of it last night. Mizuki had completely forgotten about it. She checked the car, saw it was in the seat, and pocketed it. It's here, but you can't have it. Why, Mizuki? You're aware how deeply I enjoy it. You can have it after dinner. You shouldn't have sugar before a meal. Ah, is that the conventional wisdom of this world? I would prefer to have Compito this moment, yet I possess the patience to wait. Let's go inside. Mizuki led Altair to the living room, where the seafood was waiting on the kotatsu. Altair was immediately distracted by the foam box holding the seafood. This container was not present yesterday. What is this, Mizuki? Altair prodded the box from every angle, trying to learn about it. It's an ice box. It keeps cold in and heat out. Another convenient object. Surely everyone must possess one of these. Most people have a better box. A container superior to this? What sort of container must that be? A box that could create cold, instead of only keeping it in. Create cold? I understand creating heat with fire, yet I have never considered creating cold. The world spins. It does indeed. I would desire to see one of these boxes if I could. We can take a look after dinner, if you want. Truly, what an exciting night tonight is. It shouldn't take much time. Mizuki didn't own much tableware, but she did have bowls and spoons. Along with a portable gas burner and a pot she bought, she was ready. The stage was set for an unrivaled display of cooking, at least by the standards of Mizuki. To view my meal as it is being cooked, what a privilege. It's nothing to be impressed about. May we make a request? No, a demand, Mizuki. Polite way to make a demand, but sure. I asked that you explain what you were doing as you cook. I don't want to. It's embarrassing. I would not understand the process without commentary. You've gotten pushy. Mizuki thought about it. Was she willing to demonstrate as she cooked? She couldn't think of anything more embarrassing to do. But the alternative was being interrupted by Altair's questions. Alright. You were surprisingly willing to follow demands, Mizuki. If you think so, I'll start ignoring them. I apologize. I did not intend to take your willingness for granted. Mizuki placed her ingredients on the kotatsu in front of her. She hadn't cooked in years. This was easy enough, even for her. What she lacked in experience, she made up for with modern convenience. The cooking began. I'll start by pouring water into the pot and turning the burner on. A combustion device. Oh, I thought she burned herself. Oh wait, but she literally can't. What am I saying? A combustion device. Similar to the car. Don't interrupt me, but like the car. I will remain silent. Once the water is hot, I'll mix in this instant soup. Mizuki could see Altair wanted to comment, but was holding herself back. It's like the seafood ramen, but meant to be in a dish instead of eaten alone. Altair nodded enthusiastically in response. Then I'll mix in pre-cut vegetables. She dumped them unceremoniously into a ceramic bowl. Along with them, a mix in tofu. Because she didn't own a knife, she roughly cut the tofu with a chopstick. Then we wait. I've always considered cooking a laborious... Laborious? I'm gonna assume it's that. I've always considered cooking a laborious process, yet you are able to cook while barely lifting a finger. In the past, this would have taken hours. Yet, here we are, in mere minutes. I could have never conceived this. It's because of other people's work that it's this easy. For cooking to be this effortless when labor is shared, mankind is truly fearsome. This isn't a good example. I'm not trying very hard. I believe you're exerting yourself enough, Mizuki. Lastly, once the vegetables are half cooked, you throw the oysters in and wait. Mizuki opened the phone box and splashed the oysters into the pot. It's a waste to have oysters with instant soup, but it should be fine. She wasn't going to make soup from scratch, not that she knew how. That's oyster soup. As Mizuki finished cooking, Altair applauded. That was a wonderful demonstration. Does everyone cook this way now? No, this is how I cook. What is different about your method of cooking? I don't use many tools. Does the average cook have significantly more? They usually have a kitchen. I was curious about that. You surprised me when you cook soup on a single table. Cup ramen is considered a snack, not a meal. Do you consider it a snack, Mizuki? No. I believe I am beginning to understand you, Mizuki. What do you mean? If I did not request it, you would never cook yourself a meal such as oyster soup. You're right. The two of them sat across each other, quietly, as the hot pot simmered. While Altair was focused on the hot pot, Mizuki was restraining herself. She wanted to discuss what they talked about last night. Was now the right time to talk about it? She already knew. There wasn't much time left. She breathed in deeply. It felt the crack of her broken ribs. Alright, let's do this properly. Altair looked away from the hot pot and faced Mizuki. She already knew what Mizuki wanted to talk about. Very well. I introduced myself to you the night we met. Do you remember? I recall. Your hobby is beetle fighting, and your favorite food is uni. That's right. What is uni? It's a spiny sea creature that's creamy and delicious. Ah, of course that is your favorite food. You were Don't finish that sentence. Introduce yourself. Have I not already? You introduced yourself as Hikoboshi. I don't know who you are. I do not believe who I am is that important. I want to know. What should I even say about myself? Altair thought about it, then settled on her own introduction. I do not have a name, and I am millions of years old. I am the envoy of Lord Hikoboshi. I do not have any hobbies. My favorite food is oyster soup. I do not have blood. And what is the star sign? A specific constellation. Don't worry about it. If a star sign is a constellation, I believe I would be an Aquila. That would make you a Capricorn. I would prefer to be a bird than a goat. Must I be a Capricorn? It's the star sign nearest to Aquila. As a star myself, I would prefer not to be addressed as another star. The irony of that sentence was not lost on Mizuki. Aquila it is then. I like Computo, and I dislike light pollution. How do you know about light pollution? Lord Hikoboshi complains about it constantly, saying nobody can see him. He sounds like a petty person. Though he is a generous man, he has much to complain about. Does he complain about how much he misses his wife? Does he complain about how much he misses his wife? That is the majority of our conversation. My only reprieve is the 7th of July. You only get a break one day a year? You work hard. Indeed I do. This visit is an exception, however. How often are you allowed to visit here? Once every 400 to 500 years. Could you tell me about your last visit? As Mizuki asked that question, she saw that the hot pot was ready. Wait, you can tell me while we eat. Ah, the food is finally ready. It would be a good accompaniment to my story. Let me scoop you some. I don't want you to spill it on yourself. Mizuki scooped Altair a bowl of the oyster soup, steam rising from it. She did the same for herself, and fetched the crab from the box. The crab was a bundle of legs, pre-cooked and broken in half. There was no way Mizuki would ever cook crab herself. As Altair saw the crab, her eyes widened. What a wonderful shape and color these have! The crab must be enormous. These are from a king crab. They're bigger than your head. I would desire to see one as well. I'll see what I can do. What a kind woman you are, Mizuki. You could say that. Mizuki clapped her hands together in gratitude, and so did Altair. Let's eat. Let us eat. The two of them started eating. Mizuki started out with an oyster, while Altair went with the vegetables first. That's good. Mizuki hadn't had oysters since the last time her mom cooked them. The vegetables soaked the flavor of the soup exceptionally well. It did. Both of them focused on the food, and the room was silent. Eventually, Altair finished all her vegetables and had her first oyster.
This is as delicious, no, even more delicious, than during my last visit. This meat is bursting with all the flavor of the sea. It is the sea itself, is it not?
If you think that, you would love uni.
Can we purchase it at the convenience store?
The convenience store doesn't sell everything. Uni is a luxury good.
Did you purchase the oyster and crab from the convenience store?
No, it was from a specialty store for seafood.
Could you have purchased uni there?
They didn't have it available, or it would have.
How inconvenient. It is a shame we will not be able to try it.
Mizuki stopped eating. She was trying to think of how to mention it, but Altair did casually. Wasn't Altair afraid of dying? Mizuki couldn't understand her. So you wanted to hear about my last visit, did you not? I do. Then listen closely, and be amazed. Before that, want another bowl? Altair nodded. She had already emptied her first bowl.
If you would, we should be able to have 3, 4 bowls each, should we not?
You can eat as much as you want.
What a wonderful thing to hear.
Mizuki shook herself out of it and refilled Altair's bowl. This would be their final meal together. There was no need to rush. They should be able to talk about everything they needed to tonight. Altair accepted her second helping of hot pot. I will start regaling you of my stories soon, however. Altair glanced at the crab in the middle of the table. Should we not enjoy the king crab first? You're right. Mizuki took a king crab from the pile and scooped the meat with her spoon. She took a bite, and the crab's sweet flavor spread through her mouth. That's good. The food seemed especially delicious with her tonight. Altair copied Mizuki. Her eyes widened.
This is also the flavor of the sea, in a way unlike the oyster. This fresh, sweet flavor is akin to the wind blowing at the shore.
It's good, isn't it?
I could hardly conceive a more luxurious feast.
You're welcome.
Once more, you have our everlasting gratitude.
If only she could have met Altair earlier. That was what Mizuki earnestly thought. Your story?
Very well.
The last time I visited this land was roughly 430 years ago. It was the end of the period of turmoil. If I recall correctly, a great villain had just died. The demon king of the sixth heaven, they said. That's Oda... Oh, I'm gonna struggle with this. That's Oda Nobunaga. That was their name. They must be of great fame for you to remember them. You could say that. The person who gave me lodging certainly resented them. Who were they? They had a most brilliant name, Teramoto. I got along with them well. You said he built a castle. Teramoto Mori? Is that common knowledge? Or is your grasp of history that impressive? I know a few things. You should consider becoming a scholar. I don't like studying. You may have an aptitude for it. You are young. It is worth trying. Mizuki knew Altair was a god and several million years old, but to be called young by someone who looked younger felt strange. You were saying? Ah, of course. I crashed through the roof of his house. Couldn't you have landed more gracefully? When journeying across the heavenly river, landing is an afterthought. You said something similar earlier. Regardless, Teramoto immediately pointed a sword at me. I can't blame him.
I glowed and introduced myself as Hikoboshi, which calmed him down. When I asked about his wish, he had a similar thing to you, to fix the hole in my roof. What a sensible man. I brought him to the corpse of a star, and he was overjoyed. He threw me a feast, and that was where I had oyster soup. Was that the most important thing about this visit to you? Though not the most important, the most memorable. Altair took a sip of her soup, as if to remind herself of the past. I left him soon after, on good terms. If I might ask a question, do you know what happened to him after I left? He lived a good life, and died at 72. That is pleasant to hear. He was a simple man at heart, Teramoto. Mizuki didn't know how to respond, so she ate. There was a sentiment behind Altair's words she couldn't quite grasp. Mizuki prepared her resolve. There was something important they had to discuss. Can I ask you a question? You do not require my permission, Mizuki. You're going to die tonight, aren't you? It was the question Mizuki had avoided. Altair didn't answer immediately, and took another sip of the soup. I am. I did not intend to tell you. I thought to fade as you slept. You didn't need to tell me. I already knew. You said you were visiting for 3 nights. You said your light was fading away. And gods are similar to cats. To be called a goat and a cat in a single night. Could you explain the meaning, Mizuki? Do you know what a cat does when they're about to die? I am unaware. They find somewhere where nobody can see them, then die alone. Ah, that is the reason you compared me to a cat. It isn't just you. Have you witnessed the death of a god, Mizuki? Mizuki hesitated. In truth, she trusted Altair, enough to tell her everything. There was no risk telling the dying star her story, but she had never told anyone before. She didn't know how. We should eat. Mizuki, tell me it. I'll tell you everything about it, but I don't want your feast to get cold. Very well. The two of them continued to eat without another word. With the atmosphere as it was, the food wasn't as delicious. Mizuki didn't know earlier, but this was meant to be Altair's last meal, and she couldn't stand it ending this way. I wish... As Mizuki started to speak, Altair paid attention. I've been waiting to hear your true wish, Mizuki. Whatever you desire, I swear to do my utmost to grant it. I wish to be with you until the end. Did you not have another wish, Mizuki? That is what I desired to hear. What you want doesn't matter. This is my wish now. I suppose I cannot defeat you, Mizuki. I will grant your wish. No. No? I will be the one granting your wishes. Mizuki took the kompito from her pocket and threw it on the kontatsu. Finish eating. You have a few places to visit. Very well. The pair ate with renewed energy and finished the food in record time. Once they were done eating, Mizuki and Altair got into the car. It was past dinner time, which meant the stores would close soon. Mizuki decided she would sate Altair's curiosity as much as she could. The cold box, seeing a king crab, tasting uni. Anything else? You truly are granting my wishes, Mizuki. Allow me a thought. What else? Despite her curiosity, put on the spot, Altair couldn't think of anything. She looked at the kompito she was holding. May we view the castle that Terremoto built? We can. That is all I desire at the moment. Alright. Mizuki started the car and headed out for the shrine. Their first stop was a convenience store. They could look at a freezer there. Mizuki could have another popsicle. She parked the car, and instead of leaving Altair inside, gestured for her to follow. Are you certain, Mizuki? You're a god. Normal people can't see or hear you. I was not aware of that. Does that imply you are abnormal, Mizuki? I can see and hear you, because I'm a shrine maiden. Then how could several people perceive me in the past? The world spins. People now aren't as sensitive to spirits. Even in the past, only Terremoto could perceive me clearly. He must have had sharp eyes. He was a man who could see many things. As they approached the convenience store, Mizuki warned Altair. People can't hear you, but they can hear me. Don't touch anything, and keep quiet until we're back in the car. As you wish. The two of them entered the convenience store. Mizuki walked to the freezer and got a popsicle. As she did, Altair examined the freezer closely. As you stated, Mizuki, this box can create cold. When Mizuki didn't respond, Altair remembered to keep quiet. Mizuki paid for her popsicle, and the two of them left the store. They returned to the car, and as Mizuki started it, the floodgate broke. That was truly a superior container. Unlike the box you used for the seafood, which contained ice, this box was able to create cold without it. The ice on the inside of the box is simply a result of the cold, rather than the cause. What is the mechanism of the cold box? Do you want? I do not desire a hint, Mizuki. You are already aware. Do you want a bite? Mizuki offered Altair a bite of her popsicle. It was a cheap popsicle with a crunchy ice texture, popular with children. I would certainly appreciate a taste. What would this food be? It's a popsicle. Cold dessert. A dessert? I would not have expected this to be sweet. Altair bit into the popsicle. This is cold. I've never eaten anything as cold as this. I'm reminded of space. The texture is akin to ice. It's soft enough to bite. And sweet. Sweeter than sugar. Altair handed the popsicle back to Mizuki. Though I believe I prefer compito. That was an interesting food. Too sweet for you? I would need to become accustomed to the intense sweetness. Mizuki retrieved her popsicle and quickly tore through it. As Mizuki ate, Altair had a compito and contemplated the freezer. It should not be possible to create cold without a mechanism. I'll drive while you think. Mizuki drove to the store where she bought the oyster and crab. She recalled that there were live king crabs being displayed in front. It wasn't as good as an aquarium, but those are closed this late. She broke Altair out of her thought. We're at the king crab. Is it possible to emit cold as heat? Have we arrived already? We have. Then we should not test the patience of royalty, Mizuki. The pair once again left the car to view the window. In the dark of the night, the king crabs are docile. What a grand creature. For royalty to be captured and eaten is a cruel fate. Are indeed delicious, though? Regrettably, I must admit they taste as grand as they appear. Aren't you going to apologize? It would be disrespectful to seek the mercy after gleefully devouring them. You can only show gratitude. Is that the meaning of the gesture you perform before a meal? That's right. It's like a prayer. In response, Altair faced the king crab tank and clasped her hands. I am grateful I was able to enjoy the blue-blooded flavor of your kin. After Altair showed her gratitude, the pair returned to the car for the next stop. Uni, Mizuki's favorite food, wasn't available at that store. That meant her only choice was to order from a restaurant. She normally wouldn't, but she had recently come into money. 1 uni and spinach for takeout, 2 pairs of chopsticks. Mizuki wouldn't be able to share with Altair if she dined in. The waiter accepted her order, and Altair spoke as they left. Are uni and spinach known to accompany each other well? It's a local delicacy. Mizuki's order soon arrived, and she brought it to the car. Uni and spinach was, as Mizuki said, local to Hiroshima. The ingredients were fried in butter soy sauce and accompanied by a baguette. A savory aroma filled the interior of the car as she opened a container. Want the first bite? Mizuki extended the container towards Altair. If you would. Wait, why is the text not yellow? Okay, whatever. If you would, allow me to discover the flavor of uni. Altair picked up a piece of uni with her chopsticks and ate it in one bite. What an indescribable flavor! Sweet, salty, creamy. I now understand what you meant, Mizuki. I can taste the sea itself, down to the sand and stone. Even the sauce enveloping it. Combination of east and west, of crop and dairy together. This is truly delicious. However, I do not believe I can eat more at this moment. The flavor is rich beyond measure. Would I be able to request the last piece of uni? I'll think about it. Mizuki ate the rest of the uni and spinach without any talk. She didn't get to enjoy uni often, so she savored the opportunity. Once she ate almost everything, she mopped the sauce with the bread. She ate everything except the last piece of uni and offered it to Altair. Altair gracefully accepted the uni and once again ate it in one bite. A spiny creature with a rich, complex flavor, uni is truly similar to you, Mizuki. I told you not to say it. I believed it needed to be said. We only have one place left then. The castle of Teramoto. Is it distant from this location? It isn't. We're close. Hiroshima Castle was less than half an hour away. In that span of time, their trip together would be over. When she was about to start the car, Mizuki hesitated. Is there an issue, Mizuki? There isn't. Mizuki knew she couldn't delay it. The night would end whether or not they went to the castle. The only difference was if Altair was satisfied. Mizuki wouldn't let her leave with any regrets. She started the car. After a short drive, the pair arrived at Hiroshima Castle. The castle loomed over the city with a watchful eye. It was the final destination of their enjoyable trip. Once they finished here, there was nothing left. To think the wish of Teramoto is standing after all this time. Altair gazed at the castle, caught in memory. I was never able to see it before I left. I only heard him speak of it, dream about it. Mizuki took a seat on the grass. What sort of person was Mori Teramoto? Teramoto was a simple, cautious man with a modest amount of ambition. Despite living during a time of war, he never seemed to lose his footing. And you got along with him? Unlike everyone else who could see me, he didn't treat me as a god. Can you believe he had the audacity to call me a nuisance, Mizuki? Easily. I can see why. He was my dear friend, the same as you. It would not be a surprise to me if you held his blood. My family line has lived here for more than 1,000 years. Seabed Shrine existed before Hiroshima did, or even Japan. In regard to Seabed Shrine, allow me to ask, is the god of the shrine absent? They were not there. There was no way Altair wouldn't notice, as a god herself. Mizuki was the shrine maiden of an empty shrine. Alright, it's about time I tell you about myself. I said I would. Mizuki gestured for Altair to take a seat next to her, and she did. She had never told anyone about her story. Not that they'd understand. My father was a caretaker of Seabed Shrine before me. He fell in love with a woman, and after she gave birth to me, she abandoned us. I don't know the reason why, and I don't care. When I turned 6, my father decided to chase after that woman. He prayed to the god of the shrine, and asked him to care for me. But the god of desperation asked for a sacrifice to answer your prayer. What he sacrificed was me, and he washed his hands of me entirely. My father never returned, and the god raised me for 12 years. The god of Seabed Shrine. She's my mother, my only family. Once I turned 18, my father's prayer was answered. She could no longer take care of me. Not only could she no longer take care of me, she was fading. Only my father and I knew she existed. She had been forgotten. Like a cat, she chose to leave instead of stay with me, until the end. I haven't seen her since. So your true wish would be... I want to see my mother again. If she is truly gone, I cannot grant that wish. I know. The pair sat silently, wind blowing across the grass, as the castle loomed. Mizuki stood from the grass, and offered her hand to Altair. That's why I didn't want to tell you my wish. That's why I wished to be with you until the end. Altair accepted Mizuki's hand, and stood from the ground. She seemed to be thinking about Mizuki's story. If nothing else, I can certainly grant that wish. I am grateful for your company, Mizuki. You know, this isn't the real Hiroshima Castle. What do you mean? What else could hold such grandeur? The castle Mori Teramoto built burnt down. This is a replica. As long as it bears the name Hiroshima Castle, his wish is enduring. Hiroshima wouldn't be here without him, or you either. At long last, you understand my importance, my influence upon history. The last 3 nights are more important to me than that. I could only hope that you would never forget them. Mizuki started to head back towards the car. Let's go home. Wait, Mizuki. What do you want? I believe I understand how the cold box works. How do you think a freezer works? I believe the cold box is not creating cold. That is impossible. Instead, I believe the cold box is taking heat from within and moving it. I believe that the box must be radiating heat equal to the cold inside. This allows the contents to stay cold. I believe this is the correct answer, Mizuki. That's right. Once again, I have triumphed over a mystery of the modern age. I think you'd do worse if heat or combustion weren't involved. You should not take away from my accomplishment, Mizuki. Let's go home. The pair drove home from Hiroshima Castle, done with their trip. Every question Altair had, even Mizuki's wish, had been answered. There was nothing left for the two of them to do, except to wait. A pleasant talk, maybe a snack, and the night would end. After talking about her past, and the money from the meteorite, Mizuki decided that she didn't need 2 jobs anymore. There's something I want to do. What would that be, Mizuki? I want to stop using the shrine as a parking lot. What is the meaning of the term parking lot? A place where people can keep their cars. I thought they all belonged to you. You were simply collecting them. I only own the car you crashed into. Then it is fortunate that I did not crash into another car. You could say that. The owner of that car would blame me for it, would they not? I would be able to pay for it with the meteorite, but it'd be annoying. Mizuki took the key ring with the key to every parked car. Could you wait in the house? This shouldn't take long. As you wish. One by one, Mizuki moved each car from the shrine to a nearby parking lot. She paid the parking fee and kept the key with her. She would hand them over to each person when they came for their car. Soon, the shrine was empty of vehicles and clean of any debris from them. If Mizuki wanted to see Altair off properly, it couldn't be in a parking lot. If her mother ever returned, she'd be pleased to see the shrine clean. Using the shrine as parking had supported her sad lifestyle, but she didn't need it anymore. When Mizuki entered her house, Altair was nowhere to be seen. Are you there? If Altair faded while she was working, she would be crushed. I was investigating the bathing room. I am fortunate I do not require it. Mizuki breathed a sigh of relief. What happens to the food you eat? It is combusted and converted into light and heat. How are you feeling? I feel radiant. I do not give the impression of a star about to fade, do I? You don't. That is precisely what I desired to hear. Altair sat down in the kotatsu. May I demand a bowl, Mizuki? Mizuki got a bowl from the cabinet, and sat down as well. She turned the kotatsu on, causing soothing warmth to return. Altair poured her remaining konpito, about 4 bags, into the bowl. I ask that you share these konpito with me, Mizuki. Mizuki took a piece and popped it into her mouth. It was plain sugar, but that wasn't bad sometimes. Why did you decide to share them? I do not believe I could finish them myself. I could eat them after you're gone. I desire to enjoy them, my dear friend. Mizuki laughed, then took another piece of konpito. Since we're talking about it, let me ask a question. Whatever you would desire to know, Mizuki. Are you afraid of dying? My body has been dead for an eternity, yet my light persisted. I am in existence similar to a spirit, a wisp of what I once was. However, if I had not persisted, I would not have met you. I believe I am mildly afraid. I am prepared for the end. Mizuki looked at Altair. as if she didn't know how to respond. After a moment of silence, she found the words she wanted. When my mother left, I hope she felt the same way as you. Mildly afraid. If I could die feeling that way, I'd be happy. You should not consider death yet. You have a long life ahead of you. Altair continued slowly, savoring Compito, while Mizuki crunched. Do you remember when I said Mori Teramoto lived to 72? I recall. The average life of a man at the time was 50. Teramoto may have been simple, yet even death could not catch him. He must have been a stubborn old man. It is my hope that you age the same way. That would be nice. The Compito in the bowl dwindled, but the night went on. What's it like working for Lord Hikoboshi? I would say difficult, yet satisfying. Sounds like an excuse. I have much to complain about, yet I am equally rewarded. The majority of the time, my work is acting as his envoy, carrying letters across the heavenly river. Are most of the letters to Lady... or... I don't know this, I'm sorry. Are most of the letters... Wait, what? This is the first mistake I've seen. Okay. Are most of the letters to Lady Orihime? Only a mere 90% of them are. I'm surprised 10% aren't. To be truthful, 95% would be more precise. Since you ferried love letters back and forth, you should have been named Vega. That joke has been told to me more than there are stars in the sky, Mizuki. Add another to the pile. What a cruel woman you are, Mizuki. They reached the bottom of the bowl, and only 2 Compito remained. Altair took one, and Mizuki took the other. Altair looked right at Mizuki, and for this last piece, crunched the Compito in her mouth, not savoring it at all. What a satisfying experience that was. I now understand why you do it. Did you want this last piece? I asked that you savor it, Mizuki. Alright. Mizuki placed the Compito in her mouth, and let it melt. The sweetness spread across her tongue, as the star faded. Though it lasted longer than when she crunched it. Soon enough, it was gone. Is this Seabed shrine, Mizuki? It can barely be recognized. But the cars moved. The shrine grounds were completely open. The feeling of divinity it once held was restored. It is. In the last 3 nights, not a single person prayed aside from you. There were 3 people. They just prayed before you arrived. There should be many more, now that it has the appropriate appearance. They won't pay more than a Parker, though. Mizuki checked the offering box. The last people to park paid there, as she said on their sign. She decided to leave it as the first offering of the renewed shrine. It didn't come from her prayer, but she thought that God wouldn't know. Altair looked at the shrine proper, devoid of a god. Mizuki, if you would allow me to ask, how often do you pray? Every day. What do you pray for? For my mom to come back? Altair stood in front of the offering box and prayed. 2 bows, 2 claps, and I ask that you return to Mizuki. 1 bow, as deeply as she could. Even for a star, a god, there was no answer. I must not be desperate enough. You're only mildly afraid. I have accepted my circumstances long ago. Mizuki paused. You've accepted your circumstances. I have thought of fading away longer than you have been alive. Don't you wish you could live longer? Mizuki immediately regretted asking that. It was rare for her to ask such a tactless question. She kept quiet as Altair thought about her response. If not for the kindness of Lord Hikoboshi, I would not be here. I have lived a long life and experienced a great amount of joy. I believe that I am satisfied with the life I have lived. However, Altair looked at the sky, where her star once shone. Mizuki followed her gaze upward. They looked together at what remained of Altair's light. If I may answer selfishly, I desire to live slightly longer. To serve Lord Hikoboshi until the next Star Festival. To enjoy another 100 Kompido. To spend more time with my dear friend. Mizuki moved her gaze from the night sky to Altair, and asked another tactless question. What if that wish could be granted? It would be wonderful, yet I dare not dream of it. I've been wishing for my mom to return for 6 years. You must love her deeply. I do, but now I know the reason she hasn't returned. What would the reason be, Mizuki? I accepted my circumstances. As I have? As you have. I can't wish for my mom to come back, and you can't wish for a longer life. As you have accepted your death, I, in my heart, accepted my mom was gone. I wanted her to stay with me. If she was going to fade away, it should have been where I could see her. I can't stand that. I can't stand that she decided to fade alone. But I know that's what she wanted. Mizuki, you couldn't be more different from my mom, but you're also similar. If I didn't wish to be with you until the end, you'd be leaving soon. I wouldn't be able to accept that. I'm not going to leave, Mizuki. I will grant your wish. No. No? I'll be granting your wish. You have already granted me everything I could ask for. You've given me Kompido, sated my curiosity, been my dearest friend. There is nothing more you could grant me. I am satisfied, Mizuki. I'm not. What are you unsatisfied with? Everything. Everything? My car is a giant dent. I have several broken ribs. I live in a tiny house. Not enough people pray at the shrine. The people that do pray are terrible. I had to use the shrine as a parking lot, and now that I've stopped, I won't get paid. My mom left me so that I wouldn't have to see her die, and I've been alone since then. Lastly, Mizuki pointed directly at Altair. Someone I care about is about to die. There's nothing I can do about that, Mizuki. There's nothing you can do, it's true. But like I said, I'll be granting your wish. Mizuki turned toward the shrine. Or at least, my mom will. Mizuki, cease! Will the god not demand a sacrifice? I refuse to allow you to sacrifice yourself for my sake. What you want doesn't matter. I want you to live. 2 bows. 2 claps. Mom, if you can hear me, I need you to save her. 1 bow. I've been watching over Mizuki since she was born. Once I fulfilled Hazuki's wish, I could feel myself fade away. I thought it would be a mercy if I died where she couldn't see me. I didn't know that it would create such a hole in her heart. 6 years had passed since I hid myself from her. I left the shrine and watched her from Hiroshima itself. As part of the city, it was impossible for her to sense me. I believed that eventually, Mizuki would forget about me. She never did. She prayed every day, every night, for my return. As long as she kept praying, I would never truly fade. Unfortunately, her prayers lacked desperation. She had already accepted that I was gone. As long as she wasn't desperate, her prayers were weak. A single piece of compito, rather than a meal. I had raised her with love, so she would want for nothing. I never thought that she would love me back as strongly. I was unable to fade, and unable to manifest myself. I was an existence similar to a spirit. The moon reflected in muddy water. There was nothing I could do for her. Mom, if you can hear me, I need you to save her. I heard her prayer, felt her desperation. My form gained strength once more. I didn't want to answer her prayer, but I wanted to see my daughter. It's not a good thing that you can pray to me, Mizuki. I forced the words out of my mouth. They weren't the words I wanted to say, but she was able to understand me anyway. Before I could say anything else, Mizuki caught me in a hug. I hugged back. I missed her. Mom! Mizuki, I didn't want to answer her prayer. If I did, I would take something from her. Shut up, Mom. You can't tell me to... You abandoned me for 6 years. I can. I didn't abandon you. I was fading. You should have stayed with me. There was no way I could win against my daughter. I raised her, and she had grown while I was away. I let the hug linger for as long as she wanted. And if I had the choice, even longer. Eventually, Mizuki broke the hug. I took a step back and examined the other person present. Altair, a god in a similar situation to me. A god that was about to fade away. Alright. I organized the situation in my head and addressed Altair. Thank you for taking care of Mizuki. The pleasure was mine. However, I already knew what Altair wanted to say. She didn't want Mizuki to sacrifice herself. Neither did I. We had lived long enough. Could you change your mind, Altair? I will do my utmost. I'll leave it to you. Mizuki and Altair looked toward each other. I'm not going to change my mind. You should not sacrifice yourself for my sake, Mizuki. You don't have a choice in the matter. I do not wish to harm you. I have lived long enough. I regret my selfishness earlier. It was a moment of weakness. Why don't gods ever understand? Mizuki glared at me for a moment. What do we not understand? That you'll be missed. That I'll miss you. I certainly understand that. However, do you want to live? Not at your expense. Then you don't understand. If I do not understand, then explain. Tell me as clearly as you can manage. I cannot seem to arrive at the answer. Would you like a hint? Is this the appropriate time for a jest? It's the perfect time for a joke. Tell me the answer, Mizuki. We spent 3 nights together. Have you enjoyed them? The prior 3 nights have been among the most enjoyable in my existence. Is that enough for you? I am satisfied. You're not. More importantly, I'm not. I cannot ask for more. You should ask for more. How could it be enough? You're amazed at a boiler, a car, a freezer? You think Compito is the most delicious dessert. You miss a man that you met 500 years ago. You don't know anything. There's so much that you haven't seen. There's so much that I haven't seen. I want to experience that with you. I wish to be with you until the end. At the time, I thought it would be your end. But if it's alright, I want you to live. Can't you be with me until my end? Altair was stunned silent. It took her over a minute to gather herself. I believe I understand now, Mizuki. Do you? You value me enough that you are willing to sacrifice yourself. You believe my existence is worth paying an arbitrary price. To see me fade away would be a loss you cannot accept. I believe this is the correct answer, Mizuki. That's right. What a cruel, mischievous, and kind woman you are, Mizuki. You could say that. You could have flourished, even in the time of Terremoto. Altair had been completely outplayed. My daughter had overcome her with sheer selfishness. It didn't leave her any room to argue or defend herself. I hadn't seen this side of her since she was a child. Altair turned to look at me. I have done what I could. Mizuki has defeated me. Thank you for trying. You have raised a monster, god of desperation. You can call me Lao Yue. Thank you, Lao Yue. I leave her to you. I'll see what I can do. That left only Mizuki and myself. We looked into each other's eyes. Alright. Do you know what's about to happen? Mizuki may not know the meaning of sacrifice. You'll take a sacrifice from me, like my arm or my daughter. You have a daughter? I don't, and I don't think I ever will. I'm disappointed, but I understand. If I did have one, she would make a great sacrifice though. That's probably what Hazuki thought. Hazuki was pathetic to the end, but at least he gave me Mizuki. Mizuki, I don't want to take anything from you. You're the god of desperation. You have to. I'm a god. There's nothing I have to do. Mom, if I do this, I'll be able to save both of you. I don't want to be saved. Altair and I, we've lived long enough. If we take from you, we'll live with regret. At least you'll live to regret. Please, answer my prayer, Mom. You'll be able to stay around for a while as well. This is everything I could wish for. She was right. I would need another sacrifice at some point, but I'd be able to stay. I'd be able to be part of my daughter's life, if only for a few years. It was a convincing argument. I couldn't find an easy way around it. I love you, Mom. As your daughter, please, let me do this. It's because you're my daughter that I don't want you to. You lost the right to lecture me when you left. If you trust me, if you think I can take care of myself, let me do this, Mom. This is my decision, my prayer. I didn't have a choice. I only had one trick left. What are you willing to sacrifice? Anything. A man's life of 50 years under the sky is nothing compared to the age of this world. Why are you quoting Oda Nobunaga? Half your life. If you want her to live as long as you, give her half your life. Alright. Was my daughter an idiot? You shouldn't accept that. Half your life is a ridiculous sacrifice. You're the one who asked. Alright, another sacrifice. Whatever you want. The shrine. I will take the shrine, and you can never return to it. Meet me. Surely, she wouldn't accept this. I could see her hesitate thinking about it. We're finally reunited after 6 long years. Would you be willing to say goodbye to me for Altair? Alright. Do you care about Altair more than me? I was almost hurt by her accepting that sacrifice. I'll know you're around. At least we can say goodbye. I find desperate people and send them to the shrine. It'll be annoying to leave my house, but I'll figure it out. Now I know how you feel. Please don't say that, Mom. I waited for you for 6 years. You did. I didn't know what else I could take from her. She has shown she is willing to sacrifice anything. There wasn't any way that I could convince her. My last trick had failed. Alright. If I couldn't convince her to stop, I'd take the smallest sacrifice. She was my daughter. I didn't want to take anything from her. But I wouldn't be able to fulfill her wish if I didn't. Reluctantly, I held out a golden needle. I'll take your left eye. What a modest sacrifice. I'm not a cruel god, Mizuki. Without hesitation, Mizuki took the needle. Thank you, Mom. Do you know what to do with it? Stab my eye. What else? My daughter was an idiot. You have to gaze upward at the star, Altair. Stab your eye while looking at it, and the eye will see her light alone. She'll be able to live for as long as you do. I hope you live that long as well, Mom. We'll see. I'll make it happen. Don't keep her waiting. I had nothing more to say to her. What an annoying girl she was. You raised her that way. They did a great job. You heard her. Are you willing to sacrifice your eye for my sake? An eye is a bargain. An eye for a lifelong friend of my quality? A bargain indeed. Alright, I'm doing it now. Mizuki prepared herself, the golden needle in her hand. She was more than mildly afraid, but she was strong. She looked up at the night sky, where Altair was. There you are. Mizuki wouldn't let Altair fade away alone. The star would shine as long as she lived. She pushed the needle into her eye. A few months had passed since then. Winter came, spring, and summer. Soon, July had arrived, and with it, Tanabata. The day Orihime and Hikoboshi could meet again. When I returned to living in the shrine, I was shocked. Even though I was watching over her, I underestimated her. I didn't think that a person could live with so little. She owned almost nothing that she didn't need. With the money from the meteorite, she was set for a while. She didn't make as much from the shrine as before, but I was thankful that it wasn't a parking lot anymore. Nobody wanted to pray in a parking lot. Without needing to work, Suzuki became lazy. She would sweep the shrine and entertain people, but she was slow about it, and acting like they were bothering her. That made her popular among a certain demographic of people. I know why Mizuki was acting aimless, though. After she saved Altair, Altair had to return to the Heavenly River. She said that she had to speak with Lord Hikoboshi. She promised to return as soon as possible. 2 bows, 2 claps. I wish she'd come back faster. 1 bow. You've been praying every day, but I can't sense any desperation. As the god of the Seabed shrine, I'm usually within the shrine itself. I know she'll return. Then you should stop asking me. What sort of sacrifice do you want, Mom? That's what I'm supposed to be asking you. We can negotiate. How about the tip of my pinky? You can't negotiate with a god, especially not your own mother. You could at least do the chores around the house. You're 25. You should do your own chores. You don't do anything except sit in the shrine. Oh my god, Mizuki. I'm supposed to do that. Have you gotten any good prayers recently? Someone prayed to roll an SSR. I asked for their hair. Were they happy about that? Now they're bald and have an SSR they don't want. That's crazy, bro. I looked at Mizuki and the completely empty shrine around us. Not a single person was here. Everyone was at the festival. Why are you here, Mizuki? I'm waiting. I didn't have to ask what she was waiting for. Did you ever have your car fixed? I did. It's in the parking lot nearby. It didn't cost much in the end, did it? The meteorite could have paid for it 100 times over. Have you considered buying an apartment with that money? My house right now is enough, Mom. It's barely even enough for you. As we bickered and bantered into the night, a shooting star shot across the sky. Did you make a wish, Mizuki? I did. A crash echoed through the shrine. Mizuki knew the source of the crash. She knew her car had been dented again. She didn't care. Across the vastness of space, we have arrived. What a sweet little story. Well, I mean, I'm not sure why there's even a save option. I didn't have to make any choices, I was just reading. I guess that's kind of weird, but then again, it doesn't really matter. Alright, I guess I'll start with the review. I'm gonna be straightforward. This was a very, very nice story. Probably one of the better stories that I've read in this series. The only other good one so far has been Moe Era. But is this on par with that? Or is it even better? I'm not sure yet. I'm thinking about it. I'm trying to think if there's any, like, flaws or even things that I would want to change about it. I know there's, like, one grammar mistake. Surprisingly, only just one. Everything else was fine, which is pretty rare for at least the visual novels I've been reading. I'm not sure. I liked what they were doing with the story. I liked what direction it was heading towards. I didn't really have a problem with what was going on. I think that this was genuinely just a good story. There was a lot of thought put into it. It's very telling, because not only was there a lot of character growth, like, I was able to tell each character's personality just based off of what they were saying, and I could make their voice based off of just that, which is very telling of a well-written character. Mizuki was kind of just like not really emotional about stuff. She had to put on that act because she wasn't used to being open about things. So I kind of just talked as if I didn't really care. Kind of like I'm talking now, in a way. Though that is my normal voice, so if you think that, then shut up. But Altair kind of had this cheerful voice. She was a lot more outgoing than Mizuki. That's because that's just her personality. She's way more excited and optimistic about things. So I kind of had to, raise my voice and kind of speak as if she is just happy about stuff. And the mother, I wasn't really sure, because I don't know, I tried to speak in between those tones, but I don't even know if I did a good job in that. But I was honestly very invested in the story. I guess I could say I'm a little bit disappointed there weren't our choices, but honestly, I don't think that matters. Just the fact that this was a good story. I can't complain about a good story. But I guess the lingering question is still there. Is this on par or better than what I think of Moe Era? If I were to give this game a rating out of 10, it would probably be you know what? I'm giving this a 10. That's right, I'm giving this game a 10 out of 10. The very first 10 out of 10 rating in this series. You heard that right. I think everything about this game is good the way it is. The music, the characters, the writing, the art. Everything about it I did not have a problem with. I will be so honest. And it's even one of those stories where you can replay it over and over. I mean, I don't know if I would advise it because it's a pretty linear story, but you could. I feel like it could be treated as one of those books that you like so much that you read it over and over to like relive that experience. And sometimes it just doesn't get old. Sometimes you just enjoy it as you did the first time. And I feel like this game could be one of those experiences. And it's a short story too. Technically it took a little bit longer to get through the story, but that's because I was, speaking it instead of just reading it. But that's besides the point. I actually think this game deserves a 10 out of 10. I think it is better. Maybe it's a bit harsh. I think it does deserve a higher rating than Moe Era. Moe Era is very good, don't get me wrong. But I think this one is just... It might be better suited for some people. There are some people out there that don't tend to go back to games they've played once. They don't fully explore it. They don't bother to, try and experience everything about it. They play it just to play it, just to try it out. And once they finish one part about it, they move on to something else. And, that's perfectly fine. I think that's a valid way of doing stuff. But I think that kind of that kind of mindset doesn't work with Moe Era because the game encourages you to go back and experience what you didn't get to do before. And because of what I said before, that's not going to work with some people. So I think that because of that, it got a 9. Everything about it was great. It was a great story. It had a great message. But I think that the replayability doesn't work with everybody. In the case of the Seabed Shining Star, it's a linear story. You can play through it, understand everything, get all the story that you're gonna get from, this game, and not have to worry about going back and experiencing things that you didn't get to do before. It is 100% linear. There is no alternate paths. There's no other choices. There's no what if scenarios. It's just you watch the story from start to end, and that's it. And I think that's why this deserves a 10 out of 10. It's something that everybody can experience. And I think that's well deserved of a perfect score. So with that out of the way, if you guys have any recommendations for visual novels that I can play, please leave them down in the comments below. I will check them out, and if I'm interested in it, I will add it to the wheel, and hopefully you get rolled, or hopefully it'll get rolled next week. If not, you'll just have to wait. But yeah, that does it for this episode. I'm glad I played this game. I'm glad I put on the wheel. And once again, I've said this in other episodes, but I'm glad I decided to make this series. Because I've been able to play games like these, especially visual novels, that leave a good message or a good feeling. You know? And I enjoy it. I enjoy myself doing this. So, yeah, with that out of the way, thank you for watching. I will see you in the next episode.